a shelf. Today I'm going to be talking about day weaning. So it's been a while since I've done one of these, so let's see how I go. If you've been wondering, I've been doing a lot of crochet. You can see like some of my crochet bits. So you've got a nice face scrubby that has yet to be finished, and also a nice little dishcloth. So all of these are available for sale on my Etsy, because I now started an Etsy and I've had one sale. Go me! So I returned to work at the beginning of August. So I've only got now 3 weeks. I think it's 3 weeks today that I actually return. I will be going back part-time, so I'll be going back 3 days a week. And those 3 days, Kieran will be looking after her, and then he'll be working 3 days himself. So I don't want to pump, so I'm returning and I do not want to pump at work. I honestly never planned for this, so I think it got to around 8 months and Sophia wasn't stopping the feeds during the day, even though we were introducing a lot more food. And then it got to 9 months and she's like, nope, I'm still a booby monster. And I'm like, okay, I really need to think about this. And it wasn't until we went away to a wedding in Toowoomba that I actually went for 5.5 hours without feeding her. And I went, oh, I need to start this now. I need to start thinking about how we're going to wean. So basically, if you are looking at weaning, I would always don't do it like I do it, and I do it by myself. I don't get anyone professional on my side, so do engage with an IBCLC. So I should probably add this before you start doing day weaning. Go and check out an IBCLC. Yeah, got the acronym right. Because they are your best bet to actually work out how to gentle wean. If you are looking at gentle wean, if you're looking at any form of weaning, go and talk to someone else. Don't do it the way that I do it. I've just done the way that's intuitively right for me. Honestly, weaning doesn't feel right, but it has turned out for the best. So the first week is like 9 till 2, because I knew we could do like 9 to 2, and that's a very flexible 2. So even though I'm saying like 9 till 2, some days I think I fed her at 1, some days it was 1:30, some days it was 2:30, whenever she was like ready kind of thing for it. So then we were doing like 9 to 3, so week 2 was 9 to 3, week 3, which is currently what we are, is 9 to 4, and then next week will be 8 till 4, and then it'll be 8 till 5 the week before I go back to work, and then the week I go back to work will be 7 till 5, because I'll be leaving home around 7:10, returning just before 5. So those times work really well. So we were doing breastfeeding on demand. Now during those 5 hours, during the morning, like Sophia could sometimes may nurse once, sometimes may nurse 5 times. So that's why I've done a time feed, because a lot of the time when you're looking at how to gentle wean, it's like talking about taking away a feed. So taking away the morning feed, taking away the afternoon feed. I'm like, that is not how on-demand feeding works, because it just didn't. That's just not how it worked for us. So doing the time just worked really quite well. So obviously some days it happens, some days it doesn't. Yesterday I fed her to sleep for her second nap. It was 3:30. I'm like, I don't care. I'm doing this. And it worked really well. So it's one of those things where it's been a bit hard for me more than it has been for her, which is a bit of a surprise. So I think Sophia was pretty much ready to actually have something new. So because of this, she has now really increased in how much food she is eating during the day. She is taking formula like a champ. So one of the surprises there is that she actually took formula best. She takes formula best from me than she does from Kieran. So that's a bit of a surprise, but I'm sure that on the days where I'm not here, they will just work something out, work out what they are actually going to do. So currently they're just off having a picnic after going to one of the library sessions this morning. So they're having fun. I know she takes food from him. I know that she takes the formula, and it's just more making sure that I have things ready for them to eat during the day for lunches, because I think Kieran's a bit he's not as informed as I am about how to give her lunches and how to prepare the different foods. But he knows that he can give her avocado and hemp seed or flaxseed and she'll be happy. But it's just trying to get her to eat that little bit more than just avocado. And So she's now really eating breakfast, she's really eating lunch, and she's absolutely devouring her dinner. So breakfast can be a bit of a hit and miss. Most of the days it's a miss on the days where we do eggs on toast and then oats. She loves it. But that's more about Sophia's feeding than it is about weaning, but it's all part of it. So a lot of this is so multifaceted as well, and that is just parenting. The effects on me is a little bit of guilt about the fact that I'm returning to work, a little bit of sadness that I'm returning to work, but also the guilt that I'm actually excited about going back to work. So I do really like my job. I recognise the fact that I'm going into a very different climate to what I was. I do work in the higher education sector, so our borders being closed has severely affected our funding, how many students we have, but I don't think we're not as bad as some of the other universities. But it's still a part of it. It's still, things are definitely going to be different. So I hope I still enjoy work, and there's a little bit of nervousness that I may not enjoy work, or that it'd be so different that I'm like, I actually don't want to do this, and Kieran has fully gone to part-time. I don't really want to be a stay-at-home mum. I like having other things to do. Like, I've loved having this time for myself. Like, I've had now 2 hours of the house to myself. Honestly, I've procrastinated, I have done nothing, I have drunk a cup of tea, I've done some crochet, and that's pretty much all I've done. And that's okay. And now I'm recording this. The other things for me is the baby blues came back again. I got very anxious, very cranky, very short with Kieran and Sophia, and that is part of it. It is part of it. But the other part is the headaches. So my moods have gotten better. So I am making sure to have like a really nutrient dense smoothie that came from the Milk to Meals book, just to have that, just extra nutrients, extra liquid, because you do need to make sure that you drink a lot of water during this period, again, just to try and balance some things out. So I do add something called maca powder. I've never actually heard of it before, so I just tried it. I actually really quite like it. Also with part of the smoothie, everything else Sophia can have, so I give her a little bit of the smoothie as well, and then I reblend it with the maca powder. And then I really like it as well. So it's just like made with coconut milk as well. But where am I going with this? The mood swings I wasn't prepared for. Even though I read about it, I wasn't prepared for it, and I was wondering why I was getting really cranky, really moody, and it's like, oh, that's right, we started weaning. My hormones have gone into back in shape. For you ask, no, my period has not returned. So even though I'm going like 6 hours without feeding him, still hasn't returned. So I don't think it will for a while. We're not going to have another kid, so it doesn't really matter, but it's still one of those things. It's been interesting. Trying to get her to sleep has been interesting. The first nap, she normally is in the pram, so I do normally do pram naps the first one, and I'm now having to do second one, pram nap as well, because I actually can't hold her for very long. I do have an umbilical hernia that is small, but it can be very painful after holding her for an extended period of time. But I never thought I'd get to this point. I truly never thought I'd be here. I honestly, after hearing my mum stop breastfeeding at 4 months with both me and my brother, and I actually don't know when Kieran's parents stopped breastfeeding them, but it didn't sound like as long as what I've done. Maybe it's the same time, but yeah, I just never expected to get here. I never expected to go, hey, I've started day weaning, and we're not going to be looking at night weaning. So if you are wondering, not going to be looking at night weaning for quite some time. I fully expect that I will be breastfeeding a toddler at night, and I'm okay with that. It'll probably get to the point where it's probably going to be when she's like 1.5 years, 2 years old, 2.5 years old, 3 years old, by the time I actually stop breastfeeding overnight. But I'm okay with that style of parenting. She is still in bed with us half the night, so that is the way that I'm okay doing things. I don't think Kieran is on board with that. But the only option is he's got to get up in the middle of the night to walk her. So I don't know which one he wants. Actually, I do know. I think he'd rather me boob her, because I had to wake him up at 11:30 when my nipples were on fire. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So it is now 6 weeks later. I am now halfway through my 3rd week back at work. And overall, our day weaning experience has gone pretty well, in my opinion. Sophia has taken her formula really well. Yeah. She's just sitting here just behind the camera. She's not coming over to me. That's alright. But I just wanted to kind of follow up. So I did this 6 weeks ago, never actually got around to actually getting it out. So one of the things I want to talk about is oversupply and my experience with how many times I've had to pump during that time, as well as feeding to sleep. So as you know from maybe my previous video, I was feeding to sleep. And I've kind of had to stop that, but every so often I do feed her to sleep, so I am, yeah, it's me and her 3 days a week. So most of the time those days I am feeding her, especially for her second nap. First nap is normally okay and I can actually get out of the house. Second nap is the problem, which I think I actually mentioned earlier. But I found that even when I am working, it hasn't made a difference, so feeding sleep has been fine. There's only been one occasion that I've actually had to hand express because I tried to feed her, she had a little bit and then it's no, and then I was still rock hard. And I just used my cheap little haka thing that I've got, so that brand haka, and that worked really well. So whenever I should go physically back into the office, I'll take that just in case, because I am currently working from home, so that actually hasn't mattered as much. So, but we're still keeping the normally 7 to 5. One of the surprising things that has come about is the fact that she's kind of stopped taking the very first feed of the day. So we normally start our days around 6:30, or at least that's when I open up the blinds. Yeah, do you like some milk? We had a milkshake, and so this is why she's got a straw, so she didn't feel left out. But yeah, so she hasn't really taken much of her first feed, so she's now taking a bit more of breakfast and everything like that. But the formula that we're currently using is Little Oak. And we've been really liking that one, and she seems to really like it as well. Just looking at my notes here, what else have I got? But yeah, she still feeds, even though she's dropped that very first morning feed, it seems that way anyway. She doesn't seem to want it, or she's just too busy to want it, kind of thing. She does normally feed anywhere between 5 and 6 a.m. Overnight. Now with day weaning, it actually hasn't changed our overnights that much. She still wakes up a lot, she still feeds a lot, and that's just normal. That's just Sophia. It's alright. Yeah. But we normally have one big feed at 5 p.m. Yeah. Mommy's recording a video. Yeah. But yeah, so we normally do one big feed at 5 p.m. and then another big feed, and then we have dinner, bath time and everything like that, clean up and bath time. And then normally by 7:30, 8 o'clock is when we kind of get into the bedroom and I feed her again. And normally she takes both boobs. It depends at times on the day whether she actually will take both boobs at 5 p.m. or not. Most of the time not. So, but that's also been just Sophia. A lot of the time she never took more than one boob. Yeah, so the day weaning process worked pretty well for us. We mostly kept to the schedule. It was only the Saturday before I actually was due to go back to work did we find out that I was going to be working from home for at least another week, and now it's been another 2 weeks. I obviously don't know how much longer I'm going to be working from home. It depends on whether they want us to come back into the office, because at this moment in time they've told us not to rush. So I think it all depends on what the next set of restrictions will be. At the moment we still have to wear our masks indoors by the looks of these next restrictions, so we'll just see what happens. But I'm glad I did it. I'm glad that I didn't have to go through the whole thing of pumping, which I really liked. I didn't have the parts anyway properly. I didn't actually replace them. I can read that in a second. I didn't replace the parts properly to actually use the pump properly. So that's also one of the other reasons why I didn't want to pump. But it's her food, like it goes up and down. If you're wondering, food does go up and down, formula goes up and down. She's only having about 200 mils a day, if that, and sometimes that doesn't seem to be enough, sometimes that seems to be too much. So we're just seeing how that all goes, and that's all up to her. Anyway, I will finish it off there because someone wants me to read a book. So thanks for watching, and let me know any of your day weaning tips if you've had to do it, if you're going back to work. But otherwise, we'll see you next time here on Laura Shelf. Bye for now.